So he was in Los Angeles?
Well, see, the
first?
Bombers, when the Bombers first started in 1954, we just flew down on the weekends. My daughter was only
Flew down
6
from where?
from here to skate against the LA team.
I see.
And then when
Got it.
Jerry took over in 59, when the track was different and we wore the helmets and everything, then we were the home team. So, you know, it was
I
like
get it.
going back and
The
forth.
Bombers were everybody that there was a problem or that they didn't know quite what to do with, they put on the Bombers. They were never intended to be a home team, ever.
And to see myself and O'Connell, Bill Reynolds and his wife Mary Gardner, even as red shirts,
No,
right,
you-
Charlie? Up there, then, please, don't waste it. I just want to give.
You're not going to get in?
Not right now, no. I want just the sun. Oh.
With the Hoyo de Monterey.
Well, tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I'll be alone. So.
Where's Terry?
Oh, she lives in Sherman Oaks.
Little raft.
Ooh, that's a capsule. That'll shade me.
No, that's here.
Oh, this, yes.
For my stuff, anyway. It sort of shows it as sort of laying semi in the water. But see, it supports it fine. And then if you need the back thing is there. That's the funny one. See you later.
Jared, don't forget to send me my
Super,
thing.
super nice to meet you. Have
What
a safe trip and enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy the pool.
Thank you very
Promise me
much.
a jersey.
There's
Oh, you
uniforms
sent me a
inside.
jersey?
Thank you very much.
With or without?
Bye.
Jerry,
Thank
don't
you.
forget my.
They're supposed to be sending me something. I'll get you some. They sent some down to,
Girls, too.
they sent some down to, what do you call it? To Laughlin. But there weren't enough there either.
Believe it or not, I'm scared of the water.
Really?
But, you know, I almost
You're
drowned
not scared of
once.
anything. Give me a break.
No, I almost drowned once, you know, and I got that fear. But if I'm left alone, I'm okay.
Hey, Liz, she's calling us.
Who is?
Is that who she's calling? Judy being a skater.
You have to wait till Dave gets here?
No. Just kind of doing some different stuff.
He puts both those balls in his mouth at once.
Pretty talented.
Out in the sun.
What do you put on your lips?
Zinc oxide.
So they
I
won't
got-
burn,
I
or
got very sensitive skin. You wouldn't think so after
not after the?
in
No,
the sun all my life.
you wouldn't.
It's about 84.
My dad is in water.
See, if you look, you saw on the roof of the house, there's solar panels up there.
This way?
There's solar panels.
Oh. Okay.
No, don't throw it. Oh, don't throw it.
Oh, no, I'm going to throw it up.
No, he said don't. Judy said not to because he played for about a half hour with it. You want to get tired out.
Come on, I said, you're
Oh, he's
timing is, he went swimming up.
yeah. He went, oh, he was in the pool. He already.
Been me for a while.
Larry, you know I'm not gonna get sucked. Come here, baby.
Not gonna have
You gotta go get dry.
Judy get mad at me. No, no.
Oh, the sun.
No, I'm not gonna go against her wish. It's better than laying on the cement driveway.
Not today, huh?
Well, not now. I don't think. No, this is really one of the major reasons I bought this house because this pool. That's an exercise I'll do.
It's hard to keep up the pool.
Well, this got a cover on it. That's all it is in the world.
Oh, the solar
And
cover,
usually
yeah.
it has a full sweep and it's broken, so there's
Yeah.
and it's really requires very, very little maintenance. Also, there's no chlorine.
What is
It's
chlorine?
got a mineral balancing system. And,
Oh my God, Jerry. Wow. See, that's something in California. That's something that, you know, I don't think they have in Massachusetts. Have you ever been up to, Ore Hot Springs?
no,
It's up in Ukiah. It's, it has all mineral depths. You should go up there. The only thing is that people walk around naked.
which one is it?
It's Ore Hot Springs. It's up in Ukiah. It's beautiful. There's rose gardens and, they have sulfur baths, mineral pools, hot tubs.
How did you get the Laughlin? I hear it's hard to fly there, huh? Or
We flew, and it's funny. I mean, it's like it's Las Vegas in the '50s. Our hotel was $15 a night,
yeah.
and the others.
It's in Nevada, though, right?
Huh?
Is it in Nevada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right across the river is Bullhead City, Arizona, and then they give you a breakfast certificate for the buffet in the morning. But if you have to buy it, it's $3.75 every world. So it's like the old Las Vegas where they were giving you so much because they wanted you to have it. The people were older, less affluent.
Well, that's all right.
Tuesday night, I think. We got there on Wednesday.
Where'd you pick Buddy up? At the San Francisco airport?
Oakland Airport. You can pull that out of there. if you
Yeah,
want.
I'm gonna. Out of my head.
You might need help.
Worth a shot, but
Don't drink that water now.
yeah, my God is
You can drink it.
You can?
This water is purer than the water you get from the, this is filtered and filtered. When you first fill the pool, it is green and opaque. You can't see through it. That's the water you get out of your tap. It's just full of algae.
We've been here for 3 days. Jeez. I known my boss since we were teenagers. Now I'm getting to know him. That's the most time I've spent with them.
It's pretty high stress.
And we would do.
Oh, you can just go lay down if you like.
Yeah, but I got this stuff on. I was going to put purple zinc oxide on, but this is me though. Oh, I want the sun. Oh, this is heaven. My flower. Oh. I couldn't sleep. I've been up since 5 o'clock. I never sleep.
Isn't that funny? The older you get, the less you sleep.
And I never slept when I was young, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
I was so hyper after skating. I never got home till 4 or 5. Darren.
We took care of the La Rosa boys.
Yeah. I got this stuff all over my whole farewell.
You guys feel like talking about
that we were, what, employee and employer in the roller derby. I really didn't see Jerry
Yeah, you have to
that
ignore,
much.
Ignore us out here.
You know
Oh.
what we could talk about? You know, down in Laughlin, everybody was asking why you weren't there. You know, all the old, the roller derby has-beens. You know, I just got
Oh, the
back
ones
from
my
Military.
age and older, huh? Yeah, there were. I should have went. There were a few older than me, which is very unusual. Well, the reason I didn't go, like I told, you know, you and, you know, Miffy and all of them, was because my girlfriend, Terry Anderson, that skated in 1950 and 51 with me, I named my daughter Terry after her, and we got misconstrued on the vacation time she had. She took 3 weeks, and I thought she was only going to take 2, so I was going to go to Laughlin in May, and then take the other 2 in August when they have the thing for my 70th birthday and going to roast me. But I think you told me, you said I was okay, alive and kicking.
Oh yeah, man. Of course, you know, everybody wanted to know about you, and it was just amazing that there were 70 skaters. Well, I shouldn't say that. There were also 3 referees, including Ed Potter.
Oh yeah, Ed called me. He called
Yeah.
me from North Dakota or
And,
something.
There
South
were there were
Dakota.
4 there who skated in the very first game in 1935.
Oh,
You didn't make
geez.
that one, did you?
No, I was only 6 years old then. I never lie about my age. Since roller derby was born, a Leo too, August 13th, 1935. I think I've been in it all but 13 years.
Yeah, but Burt Wall had a. You know,
Burt Wall's a liar. Don't believe anything he
Well-
says. I don't care if Jesus Christ was right beside him. I wouldn't believe him.
well, but he had a good line. He says, "You know how I always remember it's August 13th, 1935." I said, "How, Burt?" He said that was the day that the federal government employed the first, what they called a temporary income tax.
He would know. They were probably after him then.
Well, but it came out that you know, like Judy was there and a couple of others who weren't really that much of a part of it, and everybody considers themselves a family, like Leo Seltzer's extended family, because the game was so unique and the people who were in it were so unique. And
Yeah, well, it was too, like they say, I think there might have been maybe even 4 generations there, huh? I know at
Yeah,
least 4, and
there were 4.
maybe there was a case, maybe at the next reunion too, there might even be 5 generations.
And Specs Saunders' kids were there, and that
Yes.
was so sad.
Specs was my first partner, as we say, when I went outlaw, my first in the Derby International Roller Speedway in 1948. He was my first partner, and then when I got in the roller derby in 49, we were number 40 on the Philadelphia Panthers. Then I was number 40 when the original Bombers.
Well,
I was one of the last ones to see him at that reunion. He flew home and got killed on the way home, driving home. He's a great
Yeah.
person, a great skater.
well,
Benny-
I promised them all. It's probably going to be in Laughlin next year, and I promised them all you'd be there next year.
Well, it's all up to him up there, and I will be there. If anyone wants to know why I got this beautiful rose in my hand, I'm at Jerry Seltzer's alias Strip and Dry. That was my nickname for him, Jerry.
I was 50 pounds lighter.
I know, that's what I was telling the girls. I says, there, and we had his T-shirt, and I put Drip and Dry on. Besides, I did it to bug you-know-who at the time. Anyway, Judy, which is Jerry's lovely girlfriend, she's a Leo, too. She gave me this for Mother's Day, so tomorrow will be Mother's Day, so it's
Well,
beautiful.
It's a little soggy, but she has a
That's
few of the
okay.
roses inside.
She left some flowers for me.
You know, you caused a lot of trouble for me.
What did I do this time?
No, it was, you know, when I was married, and every time we'd have an award ceremony
Oh.
at the playoffs and at the games, and we'd have a committee to determine the most valuable players, I'd almost always have to vote against you.
Why? Because you didn't want to come up and want me to
Well, I'd
kiss
come
you.
out and you'd kiss me, and
And
not
I'm long-winded.
kiss me, not you know. If there was a little kiss, it would have been all right. And oh, did my wife get upset?
Well,
at
that's
that?
why I did it, you know, and I'll be very truthful because she wasn't very friendly. You know, we all worked for one thing and everything, and I didn't see you that often. And I remember the time when Miffy and I, we were at the Cow Palace, and we skated first on the Red Devils, and I had a hot date there, and I was all in pink, and my hair was pink and all that. And I says, Miffy, as soon as I get through skating, we're getting out of here. Then you went and called her over and said, make sure Calvello stays here till after the second game for the championship. And I didn't want to. I wanted to go out and go to the soda fountain, you know, and meet the gang and everything. But he says, no, we're going to put her in the Roller Derby Hall of Fame. So I gave you a real long kiss that night. Do you remember what I said to you?
No, what did you say?
I said, Jerry, thank you very much. This was after we kissed, so I never smoked, so I was very, very long-winded. And still to this day I haven't. I says, just because you gave it to me in 1968, I says, that doesn't mean I'm going to retire right away.
That's right. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
See, I did, and thank God I'm still going.
Somehow you always look at kind of what's going on here. What's the ulterior motive? Is he giving it to me because he wants me to get out of the game?
Well, we were talking about that earlier, you know, when I had some disagreements. You just said, you being a Gemini says, I can't do nothing about it. You guys handle it yourself.
Right.
If I could go to people and explain how I felt, and if there was someone there to straighten out my problems, it would have been. But that's all in the past now.
Do you know,
Especially this year. But you know what? May 10th, which I don't know if this is May 8th right now. Joni will be dead 2 years already. 2 years, May 10th. Then be 2 years for my sister, November 12th. Then my ex-husband died August 31st. So it's been a rough 2-3 years with my brain tumor removed. But that went the smoothest of everything. It really did.
impression. The skaters were not. Now, I don't even want to hear your answer on this one. I was going to say they didn't make much money then. So then Ann would say,
I would say, no, I'm still asked that question
No.
to this day.
I thought you'd say, well, I didn't make that much either, you know, but
No, I was
But-
going to say I never made any money in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's my answer. But
all right.
that's the way it
However-
went. That's the way it went.
But what they said was it was the best time of their life. They
It
said
was.
when they
and-
skated, it was the best time of
And
their
the
life.
girls have been with me. This crew, lovely crew's been with me since almost a year now, and they always ask me, well, how much did athletes make in those days? But it was hard to say there because when I first got in, it was $80 a month. I was 18. I went to Europe and Belgium and Paris and, France and everything. Then we had our kitchen and all that. We had Rosie the cook and Ma Perenni. And we had 3 meals a day. We all went to the beach together, and we lived in rat traps where the roaches were that big, carried all our luggage in for us and everything. But like you said, it was fun. Everybody was close. Even the married couples were separated, and it was so much fun watching them get caught sneaking to get to each other. And if we had a boyfriend, it was. You could never have those days back again, but you can't look back. At least I've done 6 decades in this century, and I do thank God for it.
Well, we got another century coming up, and I have a feeling, you know,
Well,
many more people may see you skate.
Yeah, well, you said even if I go around one lap to
Oh,
say
you're
I
going
done it
around.
in 2, oh, I can
No.
do it, Jer.
I know. Listen.
Look at those legs. Look, feel those legs.
Oh my God. Well, everybody in Roller Jam has still said the same thing. You know, when they come to the West Coast, they want Andy to skate. You know,
Well-
Mark said it, Stephen Land, Ross Bagwell.
Oh, I
So
don't
you're-
even
you
know
know,
the
you're a legend.
gentleman neither. Well, I really appreciate it, and I'm a very thoughtful person, and I really appreciate it, and I've always loved my fans, and it's not phony about it. I work 2 days a week at Safeway now. I'm at Candlestick Park during the 49er season, and the girls were there filming. I sign autographs bagging groceries, you know. It's an honor to be still recognized and known, and it is. I consider it an honor. But we never made any money, but I don't care. I'm in good shape. I'm in great shape. Jerry didn't have his nap.
No, just. Is there any areas you want us to cover?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it should take a...
Wait, can we play out a little bit more and then listen? You know what's interesting is about freezers, about cutting.
What's that?
Oh, when you went like this. You were-
Oh no. Well, I just meant we kind of hit a talk out there. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm too used to them asking the questions, so they,
Right.
oh, no, I'm losing all my flowers,
You know, like,
Larry.
you guys are always talking about these people.
There were a lot of things I wanted to say, but you can't look back 30, 40, 50 years. And at the time, it wouldn't have done any good, you know, and stuff. And I have a firm thing with me. Everything is in timing. I've been with Jerry all afternoon now, and that's the most we've talked or anything. It wasn't because he was just put in a position, too, you know, when we were all over the United States, and he couldn't be everywhere at once. And if he remembers the things we used to do, you heard what he said. His ex-wife is pissed off because I kissed him. At least I did it in front of her.
Right.
Yeah, at least I did it in front of her.
What's funny is the kind of us and them mentality of the skaters, which is brought about because they live together and they travel together, and it almost carried from generation to generation. I mean, as you know, even as things got better in the 50s and 60s, there was always enough skaters, a carryover that, and I know people don't think of this, but there were traditions in the game. Certain things you did, certain things you didn't do, and the new skaters before long would kind of fit into that.
Oh yeah, even like a superstition. Athletes all have, any sport, they all have superstitions. And ours with the roller derby was bringing shelled peanuts in the dressing room. Then if a new kid came in and brought him in and was going to eat him, you know, we'd tell him, the girls, we did it in a nice way, but you get someone like Charlie O'Connell, and if they didn't do it, they'd get killed. But you should go along with the, you know, the tradition and stuff. But there were a lot of, I'm just speaking for myself, though. I was one of those, we were talking earlier. I never carried my personal life into my job. I had a lot of problems when I was married, a very abusive marriage, everything, you know. But once I walked in that building, it was my job and that's it. But then we had others that didn't do that and took out their problems on the track. But you're going to have that in any job.
Yeah, you are. But yet, you know, the occasions, and I think fans were often surprised by the fact if a fan was foolish enough to come onto the track.
Oh,
they get so angry. Everybody from both teams would jump.
Would kill them.
Because, you know, the crowd was fine, the fans, as long as they sat out there and watched it. But the minute they came into the arena, you know, they were invading this closed circle.
In fact, one of my best girlfriends did that on a Sunday afternoon at Keezer. I told her, I says, Pat, no matter what happens out there, don't jump in the infield. She got so excited, she jumped in, and before I got to her, you know, to try to protect her, the other team got to her, the Bombers got to her, and she got beat up. But I warned her. They do, they get so excited.
Well,
it's very dangerous.
It was very funny, you know. You were in the film Derby. Remember, you were in it a little bit, but not as much as you should have been because.
Yeah, I was injured then.
Injured.
I very seldom ever got injured. Then I was injured then. Yeah.
And what was so interesting about it is that I had just said to the filmmakers, you know, go with them, go out on the road, you'll get a story and you'll find how friendly they are. And after a couple, 2-3 weeks out there, you know, they were getting footage, but they said, you know, nobody will let us in. The skaters will not really let us into their lives at all. You know, it was just.
You know, that's because I didn't get the. If I was there and doing and skating when I was supposed to be, they would have. Because look at Frank DeFord when he came on the road.
Right.
No one even talked to him. When he went home back to New York, and then he came back again for 2-3 extra weeks.
Right.
And he got in, all right, he had a ball and gave us 15 pages in Sports Illustrated.
Right.
1969, March 3rd.
What a memory.
Vince Lombardi was on the cover.
Right.
You look like Vince there with that hat on, yes.
Do we have to move Larry? Do you want him out of the way? Is he? All right.
What just went on?
What's that?
What just went on?
Probably.
Solar heat. You want it off? Yeah, absolutely. I'll show you.
For Monday.
Oh, my God.
She'll be 94, so she doesn't, you know, she doesn't want to go too far away. She was planning on a trip to go to Europe with her son in September if her mother's okay, but you never know. On a month, I was going to take care of her 3 cats, but you never know. But 94 on 8/10, which is Monday. I'm going to have to thank everybody. Jack Wilson. I think Erwin Saxon.
You know, CBS owns it. And the touring company is a major company. So I'm helping to do the tour, but I'm not looking very heavily.
3 years is very, you know, hard on her because every weekend she lives in Sherman Oaks. She works in Marina Del Rey, and her dad was in Huntington Beach, you know, and she literally watched him rot away, you know, for 2-3 years. But then her half-sister is coming down from Oregon. You know, her dad was married again, and we're very, you know, she did a wonderful job.
All right.
Come on, I'm getting cold here. I'm soaked.
She's missing the sun.
No, I don't care about the sun. Now? Oh, you talk about my relationship with Jerry, which I've known when really since
40
he
years?
took over, you know, yeah,
41 years?
1959. I have more of a relationship knowing Jerry today, believe it or not, than my whole career.
Ann, we're not actually asking you a question. We just want you guys to naturally, like we were when we were over there.
Ignore us.
Talk about your relationship, how it's evolved, and perhaps really, you know, share a lot of time.
Yeah, today. Today's what time we had the most time. You don't seem to understand. When I saw you, you'd come into the building, right? And
Right.
there'd be hi if you felt like talking. But Jerry is a ham, believe it or not. We did live television. Yeah, well, we did live television, right?
Right.
I don't know who got up there first. You were Walt Harris.
Well, I
But
had,
you were very, very good, though. You
well, it
were
was
very
important.
good.
I had tickets to
Yeah,
sell.
no, you were very, very
No.
good.
I think what a lot of people have a hard time understanding, and it's funny, even after I left roller derby, and then, as you know, I got in the ticket business,
Yeah.
and people would say,
Now, wait a minute. What kind of tickets? You know, we call these tickets...
well, mine were square
Oh,
ones.
the kind you
Yeah,
punch. Oh, okay.
Actually rectangular, yes. You know, they said, well, oh, you're in rock and roll, you know, how do we meet you go backstage and everything? I said, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And I think, having grown up with roller derby all my life, and knowing about it, it was the business, and I treated it as a business. And, you know, it wasn't exactly that I was really probably got to know the skaters as well as I should have.
Yeah,
At
no,
least
but...
at that, you know,
Well, you really didn't have a... You didn't really have a chance to come out and socialize with the skaters
No.
because you what videotape started.
right.
You're a great promoter, and we had sellout everywhere we went on the road, all one-nighters and stuff. You didn't have time to be socializing with us and stuff. But when you were in Bass, Bay Area Seating Service with Bill
Right.
Graham, the concerts and everything, practically every one of them were sold out and stuff. You did your thing there, and the tickets, I'm sure, sold themselves, but you had to sell, because not every skater was a drawing card. You may have some teams that were very dull and boring. No, really,
Well,
am I right or wrong?
Well, there was
You know,
balance. The teams were different, but it just never was in my nature. And also, I felt it would be harmful. You know, there were other outfits that operated on different bases.
Oh, yes, I know.
And but I had always just tried to keep my life separate. And it's funny. I mean, as you were saying, you know, just a few minutes ago, we certainly know each other better and have a closer relationship now than we did in the years that you worked for me.
Yeah, well, I just ran into you not too long ago. Oh, when we filmed for Roller Jam in September and stuff.
Right.
And I said, how come you're so nice to me, Jerry? And stuff and everything. But I understand. I know how it is with the youngsters.
You're right. Right.
No, and I really appreciate it. I know you have, and I've told the girls and everything, you know, ever since we do see each other more now and talk to each other more, you're treating me right. And I
Well,
think...
it's about time.
Well, thank you. You got that down? Thank you. Because you know what's happened to me since then, you know, with those other ones, the two-faced backstabbers and stuff, you know, and I want real friends.
But that's not really important in the long term.
It is to me. You know Leos.
Boy, do I.
All right. But no, and I really appreciate it. I even was telling Sharon driving up today, I said, Jerry's really, I can't believe it's the same person. But then, too, sometimes it does take men, not all men, a little time to grow up a little bit more. But people didn't really know me. I'm a very private person, and I only had like one girlfriend at a time, and that was Miffy. And then when you introduced it to Artie Samuels, we went to Guadalajara, and she married him in 3 days. So it took my best girlfriend away and stuff. So I was really,
me for that.
I was really a loner, you know,
Right.
and stuff. So it was hard.
Well, I think what a lot of people really don't realize about this, seeing me now at a more mature level, was that I was 26 when I started promoting roller derby. And I had a wife and 2 kids. And it was a very, very serious thing for me to make it work. And I often kid about, everybody always thought that there was a Seltzer fortune buried in the backyard, that if something happened, there was always this money. And I think you grew to realize as much as anybody
Oh,
else.
I knew all along.
That, you know,
I knew.
that we
but-
were that here this whole big national thing of roller derby was kind of being run, you know, as his family operation.
Well,
So-
excuse me. Well, my thing was that I thought my whole career, which I didn't even know what roller derby was, and God gave me that gift, you know, and everything, and I was a drawing card. I just wasn't treated the way I should have been and stuff, but that's like you said, that is, I can't say 20 years ago, it's 30, 40, 50, almost 6
40 years
decades.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, because it's 50 years or whatever it is, but you weren't, you know, have you that long, but I'm very happy that you are back into my, well, you never were in my life that way. I mean, you didn't even sign the paychecks, did you? I think
No,
Joe Downs
Joe
did.
Downs did.
And she was, excuse me, she was something else too, you know. She didn't treat us right and talk to us like dirt and stuff. You know it. And I wasn't used to be talked to like that and everything, because everything that I got that I thought was negative, I didn't deserve. And I'm honest about it. But I'm glad that you are in my life, and I hope you stay in it and friends.
Oh, absolutely.
I really hope
Absolutely.
so. And I just feel it's an honor, you know, I do, even though I am older than you.
Well, do you think it's too late for us now, Annie?
You got a wonderful girlfriend, now you tell me, and you like all Leos too, and I always used to tease you. Every time I ran into you, maybe every 10, 15, 20 years, I says, you love those Leo girls. I says, well, what's wrong with me? I'm a Leo, but then at the time you were married, then you like the young chicks and everything, so, well, maybe, well, Judy's a wonderful person. God forbid, I hope nothing happens. But if anything ever happens, I'm next. I don't care how old I am, because I got nothing but energy.
That's what I'm afraid of.
No, in everything. I'll make you young, feel young. Oh. I never thought I'd see this day sitting in Jerry Seltzer's beautiful place. I told you, I've never lived in a house. I've always been through Navy family and moving all the time and roller derby and living out of a suitcase. It's just beautiful. I
Well,
just love it.
You're going to enjoy it again, too.
And your animals, too. Your animals, I just love them. Now, come on, say something. Now, I know you didn't have your nap today now. Come on, I know you'll take your little nippy nap.
Actually, I don't take naps.
You
Maybe
said
that's-
up there, oh, you're
I
a
know.
liar like all men
Right.
then, huh?
Of course.
All right, yeah, after lunch.
Well,
Don't get my legs here because they're getting chapped from the water. I want nice, pretty legs.
Oh. When you go in the hot tub, we actually have some stuff that you pour in there.
We'll go around. Come on. Come on, baby.
Just ignore the camera.
Come on, Vic. Claire. Vicky, come. Larry, come on. Larry, come. Come on. Inside. Come on, Larry. Perfect. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Larry. Sit. Sit down. Sit. Sit down. Sit. Larry. Sit down. It's a Sioux teepee. It sleeps 6 comfortably.
Do you sleep
Or
up here?
Lakota.
Come and sleep up here?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But it's been a little cold until now, so in fact it just went up about a week ago. And if you look on the outside, on this side there's Vicky is chasing, the collie is chasing, herding the 2 buffaloes, and on this side our 2 cats are herding the buffalo. That was before I got Larry, because he's only 2.5 years old.
So great.
They must have known something.
Say that again about the structure.
The design and structure is 10,000 years old. You know, a clear span, requires no tools, no ladders, and can withstand winds up to 90, 100 miles an hour. And they use an air cooling system. You know, before obviously they had skins on the outside. This is canvas, but the principle's the same.
Actually, David. Right, that's good.
Liz, maybe you could let him come in.
I know, I'm trying to get the ball out.
Come on, Larry. Where'd you go? Everywhere you go, you find a dirty tennis ball. Come here, Larry. Larry, bring it. Let's drop it. This one is really pretty raunchy. Drop it. There's not much chance of that, is there? Crush you.
Okay, Jerry, you can come on out whenever you're ready and just don't look at the camera.
Come on, kid, let's go.
once you have it. I'd like to have him in frame. Talking about. You probably have enough of it now.
Definitely a little dark.
Yeah, I should be able to.
Okay.
What?
That's showing this.
Oh, no?
One.
So tell me about that one.
Shortly after Frank DeFord did the article on roller derby for Sports Illustrated and then actually came out with his book, Five Strides on the Bank Track, I got a package in the mail. And I opened it, and much to my surprise, there was one of my signatures from a letter and a picture next to a signature and a picture of P.T. Barnum. And to this day, I have no idea what he meant.
You want to talk about Seltzer's tonic?
This was an article that appeared actually a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, I guess it was, in the Press Democrat. I was just getting involved as chairman of the Sonoma Valley Film Festival, and there's just some other articles at various times about actually most of my career post roller derby. And this is when Tommy and Dick's mothers came up to Oregon as a benefit performance for Seltzer Park, which is named after my father and uncle, a piece of land right on the ocean in Seaside, Oregon, that we donated to the city of Seaside to create a park, and we're very happy to say that the land has been saved and the park is almost near completion.
I thought it was Yo-Yo Ma.
No, but after all, it was almost 30 years ago.
Is Corey going to skate on?
What's that?
Which team is Corey going to skate on? Corey,
Don't know yet. Probably. Roller Jam, and then there's Desk Jam.
Desk Jam?
This is just the newest of the publicity skills of the various roller jam teams. And it's amazing how much they love roller derby. Most of them never saw it before they started skating, because the average age is less than 25. And they watched roller derby tapes from the 60s, the 70s, a lot of anime.
Yeah, anybody have to call? Or
Hi, Rosemary. I got in the publicity stills, and I'm looking at the various teams. They look good. I don't have any of the Texas Rustlers, and if you can get them to me within the next day or so, I'm sure I can use them here. I would appreciate it greatly. Thank you.
Now you've got 10 minutes of tape left. Okay, sir.
Okay, Al is standing by with the new tape.
Okay.
And we're rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Jerry, tell me some about the history of, now you're hearing everybody else that.
No, actually
Oh,
not.
okay. About the history of roller derby and your father, how it came about.
My father, during the early 30s, was promoting walkathons, which were similar to dance marathons. And probably the best city that he took this attraction to was Chicago. And he, in 1935, had taken a master lease on the old Chicago Coliseum. And he brought the walkathon in there twice. And at that time, it would come in for 30 days or 35. It was very successful. And decided that he needed another attraction. He just couldn't bring it back again. So the story, according to him, was that he was reading an item in the Chicago Tribune, one of those factoids that said over 90% of all Americans roller skate at one time or another. And he was sitting at a restaurant in Chicago called Ricketts Restaurant, and he said to one of his friends, you know, I could make a game out of this. And according to what, again, my father said, the person said, Leo, you've had some stupid ideas, but that's the worst one yet. So he promptly laid out a skating surface at the Chicago Coliseum, which really wasn't banked or anything, and took primarily most of the walkathon people and opened as roller derby, which was basically initially just a marathon on skates. A team was a man and a woman. There was no blocking allowed. There was a map on the wall of the Coliseum which showed the distance from Chicago to either, I think it was either San Francisco or Los Angeles, and every night the lights would move a little bit. And the men would skate for a specified amount of time, then the women would skate, and they'd relieve each other. If one of the people was ill or something happened too tired, then the other partner would have to stay out there at that time. And there was cots on the infield. People never left the building. They had all their food cooked in there, and basically they started skating in the morning, but I think they opened the doors sometime in the afternoon. Now remember, it was the Depression, so people had very little money, and they could come in with a discount ticket for a dime or 15 cents and really spend the whole day. And the skaters had what was called a jamboree once a night, in which they would all do different kind of acts. You know, some would sing, some would dance, some would do skating tricks, and the people would throw money onto the track. And that's how roller derby was in, you know, its probably first and second year. The attraction was a huge hit in Chicago. Then he took it to another town, and it wasn't such a big hit. And he kept trying to develop it at that time. Then in 1937, he took it into Miami, where Damon Runyon had a winter home. And Damon Runyon, who was one of America's most famous sports writers, as well as a writer of short stories. You know, I think everybody knows that a lot of Broadway plays and other stories came, you know, Guys and Dolls, Apple Annie came from Damon Runyon. Well, he saw this game and he fell in love with it. And he and my father would spend every night kind of evolving the rules, you know, adding blocking. The people seemed to like that. And again, that came about naturally because the slower skaters would try and hold the faster skaters back from sprinting and gaining a lap, which was called the jam, because if they could gain a lap on the other skaters, then they were that much further ahead. So,
Sorry, I'm going to have to stop. The mic is ready. Rock and roll.
Okay, so it was this for a year, 2 years. Tell me how it evolved from that.
Well, Damon Runyon and my father in Miami really changed the game. They'd work on it. It became a team game. Every night they'd add some elements that the crowd seemed to find more exciting. So it was kind of a work in progress done before a live audience. And really by the end of 1937, 1938, the game was pretty similar as it was always skated. I mean, there were variations and things over the years, but basically became a game of 5 men and 5 women on a team. The men would skate against the men of the other team, then the women would skate against the women. and they would play alternative periods, and it would all the points would accumulate toward the score of the game.
So it sounds like it evolved based on the audience's response.
Well, the audience response and what seemed to come, come closer to some kind of game or contest. So it really evolved from a marathon into a game which was 8 periods, in which the jam time at that time was 2 minutes, and which the contest was decided by the score at the end of that night. They still kept kind of the series aspect because originally what they did is, regardless who won each night, and at that time a series of games might be 25, 28 games, might run 4 to 5 weeks, and then the last night the game would be with whichever team was leading in total points at that time would have those points on the board at the start of the night, and therefore whoever won that game won the entire series.
So was it, can you tell me about how people first responded to it? Like, was it a big hit? Did people, and what was it that people responded to when it first started going?
Well, really the biggest thing, one, it's a different game than any other kind of game. First of all, roller derby has no ball or pellet. You have 2 teams that are capable of scoring and being scored upon at the same time, which is really unique. I don't think any other game has that. And the players, even at that stage, could be as small as 5 feet, or maybe the biggest was 6 feet tall. But unlike a lot of the other sports, they didn't have to be gargantuan, far removed. The audience could always empathize, and right away they picked favorites. And of course, the thing that can't be understated is the fact that this game had women competing in a very physical game on the same basis as the men, exactly the same rules, and their points counted in the same game. And that was very, very unique. And everywhere that roller derby went, they came out to see, this game where women were performing, because there weren't a lot of opportunities for women in the 30s. If you were an athlete, there were some opportunities in tennis, some in golf, obviously, but the pay wasn't very good in either of them. So if you were a woman athlete at that time, you were really out of luck. And roller derby opened an awful lot of doors.
Can you tell me a little bit about how it evolved into a sort of violent sport?
It's like, just a second, let's go back here. Okay, rock and roll.
The blocking became more and more an important part of the game. And these are people who are going 20, 25 miles an hour, and they're getting hit. It wasn't really, though, until like into the 60s when roller derby became more of a position game. There were blockers and jammers and pivot skaters, which meant that not everybody could go out on the scoring plays, the jammers. And the blockers had one job, and that was to block the other team's skaters from going out and getting points, and to prevent and to help their own jammers get out. And it really, at that point, and especially with the advent of television, the game became more violent.
In conjunction with the advent of television, can you elaborate on that?
Well, one of the interesting things was that no matter what roller derby did anywhere else in the country, and it was successful in Chicago and Indianapolis and Miami and Los Angeles and San Francisco and Kansas City, it had always failed in New York. Right after Damon Runyon's meeting with my father, he arranged for roller derby to come to the old Hippodrome in New York, where there was virtually no response at all. In 1947, I believe it was, Horace Stoneham, who then owned the New York Giants baseball team, in conjunction with my father, brought roller derby to the Polo Grounds during the time the Giants were on an extended road trip, and I think out of the 10 games, 9 were rained out. So that wasn't exactly very successful. So in 1948, my father had rented the Armory in Manhattan and had made an arrangement with CBS to televise one game. And the Derby opened very inauspiciously, with very few people. And the second night they were to televise. Again, there were very few people, so they kind of moved them all over to one side of the auditorium, the Armory, and CBS with one camera, and an announcer who didn't really know a lot about it televised the game. The one thing that they did do is they kept giving the phone number Judson 64646 if you wanted to see some of these games. Now realize in 1948, television sets weren't common in the households at all. If you wanted to watch them, you generally went to a bar, or people would gather in front of the radio stores which were starting to sell television, and they had them in the windows out in front, and people would gather around and watch. So my father went back to, they had an apartment in New York, and he went back at 12 or 12:30 and was talking to my stepmother, and they were saying, you know, how do you think it went? And they said, we have no idea. Well, the seventh line of Judson 64646 went in my father's apartment. That way he could always call and talk to the office. Well, they walked in, and that phone was ringing. And they ended up sitting down that night with a pen and a piece of paper and taking phone reservations until 3 in the morning. And the next night, they came down to the building, and they wondered if there had been a riot, and the police were out, and they had stanchions all around, and people were lined up around the block. And instead of having 400 people in the building, they had the capacity that night of 5,100. And all of a sudden, these people on the little screens became stars. And that was really the biggest change to roller derby. And unlike a lot of other sports, people could really focus on individual players, and they could see them. And the players began to realize, well, if we become a little more showy, or people notice us more, you know, that's better for us, and of course ultimately the game. And that was really kind of where the evolution began of, you know, the sports entertainment that roller derby eventually became.
I'm going to need to change tape. I was going to stop you about a minute.